This is the Aftermarket Radio Network. It's your weekly Blitz with Chris, keeping you in the game.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope your day's starting out well and you're ready to make it yours. I know I am. Coach Chris Cotton here from AutoFix-Auto Shop Coaching, where we work hard to support your auto repair shop success. As you get into today's episode, you may know someone in your network who can benefit from today's topic. So please take time to share personally or through your social network. If you have an idea for a show topic, and trust me, we're always looking for great topics, or you just want to talk, feel free to get with me at chris@autofixsos.com. Let's get started with episode number 60, Leadership Gold. It's lonely at the top. People always ask about being a better leader. Chris, how am I a better leader? And I always get conflicted and kind of confounded, because being a great leader is not something that you can do just willy-nilly right out the gate. Like I can't snap my fingers and go, poof, here's the magic bullet, here's the magic wand, you're a great leader. I wish there was a magic bullet, but there's just not. What I do know is that if we work on it a little at a time, we can eventually get you there. And so what I've decided to do is pull out one of my John Maxwell books. Some of you may or may not know I'm a John Maxwell certified facilitator. And Leadership Gold is a book, and it's one of the ones that I do PowerPoint presentations on and can present in classes and things like that. So what I wanted to do, instead of going poof, is to actually go chapter by chapter, and maybe this will help everybody out. There's 26 chapters in the book. And so we're going to be at this for a while, okay? One thing I'm going to tell you right now is I'm just not going to jump in and do 26 consecutive weeks of the book. I think a lot of you will tune me out if we did that. So I'm going to be mixing in other topics as well. One of the things I've decided to do is I'm going to try to make it into like a little coaching session. So if you want to take it a little bit further, we're going to talk about these every week that we do them, and then I'm going to leave you with a little mentorship / coaching thing to do at the end so that you can start working on it actively in your business. And that's the only way we'll get you, is if you're actively working on it through your business. So I sat down for an hour and I was trying to put PowerPoint presentations and put those in my notes. And so just to back up and give you a minute, normally what I do when I have my show notes and everything ready, I have them all in front of me and I scroll through them. It prompts me, it gives me some direction. But it was going to take me like 10 hours to get all the notes together. And so what I've decided to do is I went back through my book. I took things out of the PowerPoint presentation, put it in my book, and for my personal notes, and have it in the margins of my book. So basically I'm going to go through here and go through my copy of the book with my notes, my facilitator's notes and things like that, and give that to you. One of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by reading what leadership is, and there's several different sentences. So let's just hop in and go through and see what we can do with this, okay? So leadership is the willingness to put oneself at risk. Leadership is the passion to make a difference with others. Leadership is being dissatisfied with the current reality. Leadership is taking responsibility while others are making excuses. That's a huge one in my book. Like, I don't want excuses any. Let's just find a solution, fix it, move on. Leadership is seeing the possibilities in the situation while others are seeing the limitations. Leadership is the readiness to stand out in a crowd. Leadership is an open mind and an open heart. Leadership is the ability to submerge your ego for the sake of what is best. Leadership is evoking in others the capacity to dream. Leadership is inspiring others with a vision of what they can contribute. Leadership is the power of one harnessing the power of many. And I may not have read that one correctly. So really think about that. Leadership is the power of one person harnessing the power of many. Leadership is your heart speaking to the hearts of others. And that, in my opinion, may be the biggest thing in here, because really when we get down to it, it's all about relationships. And we're going to talk about that. That's pretty much all of what chapter 1 is. Leadership is the integration of heart, head, and soul. Leadership is the capacity to care, and in caring to liberate the ideas, energy, and capacities of others. Leadership is the dream made reality. And leadership is above all courageous. So that's what leadership is. I had a phone conversation with one of my clients this morning. He had a situation towards the end of last week and this weekend where we had many opportunities to drop the ball when it came to taking care of a client. And unfortunately, we fumbled every time. And he was pretty hot. So one of the things that I want to make sure that I tell you, that if you haven't listened to episode 17, thermostat or thermometer, go back and listen to that. One thing I will always tell you when you're working with your clients is make sure you gather all the information before you jump to conclusions, right? So one of the things I always did is I always came in hot on the side of the customer or client. And I think that's great, but it's not fair to your employees. So make sure that you gather all the information before you just come in hot and are throwing stuff off the walls and kicking and screaming. Okay. So we're going to continue. Chapter 1, if it's lonely at the top, you're not doing something right. One of the quotes that I love out of this book, and one of the things that I really, really like, is loneliness is not a positional issue. It's a personality issue. If you're a lonely person, you're going to be a lonely leader. And it's not a great place to be. I want you to think about your personal development and what you feel personally. And we're going to try to flip that. We're going to try to flip that mindset and move forward. You know, taking people to the top is what good leaders do. And those people should come along with you on the ride and should be with you every step of the way. So loneliness in and of itself is not a leadership issue. To many people, the leader's image is that of an individual standing alone at the top of a mountain, looking down at his people. That person feels separated, isolated, and lonely. And then that person says it's lonely at the top. But if you're leading others and you're lonely, then you're not doing it right. So think about it. If you're all alone, that means nobody is following you. And if nobody's following you, you're not really leading, in my mind. That's the whole point. Lifting people to a new level is a requirement for effective leadership. That's hard to do if you get too far from your people. If you're too far out in front or above, you can no longer sense their needs, know their dreams, or feel their heartbeat, right? And so that goes to what we talked about leadership was just a minute ago. And besides, if things aren't getting better for people as a result of their leaders' efforts, then they need a different leader. Like that's our job as leaders, is to make sure that our people are taken care of. I want you to remember that no one ever got to the top alone. I don't think there's any leaders are successful without a few people helping them. Like there's always been people along the way to help you out. AutoLeap is a cloud-based all-in-one auto repair software that helps to keep complete track of your business, from scheduling appointments to managing technicians to generating invoices. Supercharge your growth with AutoLeap. Customers that fully adopt AutoLeap see the following benefits in their first year: 30% revenue growth, with top customers seeing over 100% growth, 75% decrease in no-shows, allowing you to service more customers, 3 times increase in positive Google reviews, leading to stronger online presence, 50% time saved on administrative tasks, driving increase in operational efficiency. Do it all with AutoLeap. Key features and functions include estimates, invoices, scheduling, Google reviews, inspections, communication, QuickBooks, reporting. Get in touch with AutoLeap to see how you can transform your auto repair shop. For a limited time, if you schedule a demo, sign up with AutoLeap and they will waive the $250 implementation fee. The next bullet point I have in here is making it to the top is essential to taking others to the top. And one of the statements that I pulled that I really, really like is a leader's credibility begins with personal success, and it ends with helping others achieve personal success. If you think about it, and if I'm trying to paint a picture, good leaders are like tour guides, right? They know the territory because they made that trip before, and they do what they can to make the trip enjoyable and successful for everybody. That leader's credibility begins with personal success, and it ends with helping others achieve personal success. In order to gain credibility, you must consistently demonstrate 3 things. Here's those 3 things. 1 is initiative. You have to get up to go up. Number 2 is sacrifice. You have to give up to go up. And number 3 is maturity. You have to grow up to go up. If you show the way, people will want to follow you. And the higher you go, the greater the number of people who will be willing to travel with you. And I think that's super important. And if we're talking about the journey, taking people to the top is more fulfilling than arriving alone. There's a big difference between a boss and a leader, right? A boss says go, a leader says let's go. And the purpose of leadership is to take others to the top. And when you take others who might not make it to the top otherwise, then there's no feeling like it in the world. Like if that person couldn't have got there or could not have gotten there without you, how awesome is that? And to those who have never had the experience, you can't explain it, right? But to those who have, you don't need to, because they've actually been there, done that. And solitary leaders, much of the time leaders are not at the top. Leaders rarely remain stationary because they're constantly on the move. Sometimes they're going down the mountain to find new potential leaders. Good leaders who remain connected with their people stoop, right? Like you're always over reaching down, pulling those others up. And so if you want to be the best leader you can be, you can't allow insecurity, pettiness, or jealousy to keep you from reaching out to others. Now, remember what I said there, keeping you from reaching out to others. So don't allow your insecurity, your pettiness, or your jealousy to keep you from reaching out. So what's some advice to lonely leaders? Like if you're a leader and you're lonely, what can I do and what advice can I give you? Before we get into that, I want you to listen to the statement again. Leadership is relational as much as it is positional. An individual who takes a relational approach to leadership will never be lonely. Remember when I was talking about building the relationship earlier? Same thing here. If you take a relational approach to leadership, your journey will never be lonely. Okay? So advice to lonely leaders, number one, is I want you to avoid positional thinking. Leadership is relational as much as it is positional. An individual who takes a relational approach to leadership will never be lonely. The time spent in building relationships creates friendships with others. Positional leaders, on the other hand, are often lonely. Every time they use their title and permission to persuade their people to do something, they create distance between themselves and others. Those people are essentially saying, I'm up here, you're down there, so do what I say because I told you to do it. When you do that, that makes people feel small. And it alienates them and drives a wedge between them and yourself. Good leaders don't belittle people, they enlarge them. If you are in a leadership position, don't rely on your title to convince people to follow you. Build the relationships, win people over, do that, and you'll never be a lonely leader. Number two, realize the downsides of success and failure. Success can be dangerous, but also so can failure. Anytime you think of yourself as a success, you start to separate yourself from others you view as less successful. In your mind, you start to think, I don't need to see them, and you withdraw. Ironically, failure also leads to withdrawal, but for other reasons. If you think of yourself as a failure, you avoid others thinking, I don't want to see them. Both of these are extremes in thinking that create an unhealthy separation from others. So do not separate yourself from others if you're successful or if you're failing. Okay. Number three, understand that you're in the people business. A lot of times I do I do classes and I ask them, I go, what business are you in? And a lot of times shop owners go, I'm in the auto repair business. And I would say that that's false. You're in the people business. You're in the customer service business. And how you do that is through auto repair. But really everything you do when you wake up in the morning as a business owner is you're in the people business. And the best leaders know that leading people requires loving them. You have to love your people. Good leaders understand that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You must like people or you'll never add value to them. If you're working with people that you don't care about, how are you going to fill their cup? How are you going to give of yourself and make them better? Oftentimes what happens is if you're not willing to fill them up with your cup, it creates indifference. And if you become indifferent to people, you may be, just a few steps away from manipulating them. You can't let indifference creep in as a shop owner. The very first article I ever wrote, it actually might be on the website as a blog post that I shared in the very beginning. I'll see if I can dig that up and maybe share it. Talks about indifference as a repair shop owner. Okay. Number 4 in advice to lonely leaders is buy into the law of significance. The law of significance states one is too small a number to achieve greatness. No accomplishment of real value has ever been achieved by a human being working alone. Remember, when you're a leader, you're working together to fulfill the vision. So oftentimes what I see is shop owners, they don't ever share the vision. So if we don't share the vision with the other people on our team, how the hell can we expect them to get where we want to go? So that's kind of an aside. Just make sure that you're sharing the vision with the team. People working together for a common vision can be an incredible experience. And one of the things that I want to remember to put in here is make sure that the team is progressing, make sure that you're progressing. And what does following a progression look like? So the progression of being lonely at the top or saying it's lonely at the top is this. The first step is you're saying it's lonely at the top. Then the next progression is if it's lonely at the top, I must be doing something wrong. You have to see that in yourself and push it forward. Then the next progression is come up to the top and join me. The next progression is let's go to the top together. And the final progression or the final step is, hey, it's not so lonely at the top. If you're a leader and you feel isolated, then you're not doing something right. Loneliness on the part of the leader is a choice. I personally choose to take the journey with people. I hope you do too. That's pretty much the end of my notes, but here's the application exercise, okay? These are questions I want you to think about. And then after this, I'm going to give you the mentor exercise. So you may want to grab a pen and paper and write this out, or just come back and rewind it. So number one, are you better at the science or art of leadership? Some leaders are better at the technical side of leading, such as strategy, planning, finances, etc. And others are better at the people part, connecting, communicating, casting vision, motivating, etc. So what's your strength? Are you better at the science or the art of leadership? Knowing's half the battle, right? If you're more of a technical person, mechanics and technicians, listen, never lose sight of the fact that leadership is a people business. Take steps to improve your people skills. Try walking around the shop so that you can talk to people and get to know them better. Read books or take courses. Ask a friend who's good with people to give you some tips. Seek counseling. Do whatever it takes to improve. And I 100% get that the reason why you stay under the hood of a car is because you're not good with people. But if you want to progress past being, quote unquote, just a technician or just a mechanic and be a business owner and working on your business instead of in your business, you have to learn the people side of what you do. Number two, why do you want to be at the top? Most people have a natural desire to improve their lives. And so for many, that means climbing the career ladder or whatever to get to a higher position. If that's your only motivation, like say you have a service advisor that wants to be a GM or a store manager, if that's their only reason for being a leader is to gain a higher position, then those people are in danger of becoming a positional leader who plays king of the hill with everybody else. It's lonely at the top. We don't want to feed into that. So you, if yourself are in that position, or if you know somebody that's in that position, spend some time soul searching to discover how the leadership can and should benefit others. Number three, how big's your dream? What is your dream? What would you love to accomplish in your life and career? If it's something you can accomplish alone, then you don't need to lead anybody but yourself, right? Anything worth doing is worth doing with others. And so dream big. True, I don't want to push you to do things you don't want to do. But if you do have a big dream and you're thinking about the people around you, what kind of teammates would you need to accomplish it? And how does the trip benefit them as well as you or the organization? I need you to broaden your thinking so you'd be more likely to think of climbing to the summit with the team, okay? Here's the mentoring moment. And this is towards the end. We're wrapping this up. As a leadership mentor, it's your job to assess how the people you're mentoring are handling relationships. Some people are limited by their inability to interact well with others. If they're disconnected with people above, beside, or below them in the organization's hierarchy, make it your goal to coach them in this area and to help them connect. So how do we do that? Just like everything else in the shop, we need to have a process for developing relationships. If you go back If you don't know and you haven't done my notebook technique, that's episode 26, notebook technique or eating the elephant. It's having a one-on-one time with your employees to talk about them. Ask how they're doing. Ask how they're doing at home. Let them know that you're there and you care. Offer constructive feedback and an opportunity for growth. The number 2 reasons people leave businesses nowadays from exit interviews, what we've learned, is the lack of accountability. They don't know what the future holds. They don't know what their path. They don't know what their progression is forward. We talked about your progression, right? And so to sum this up or close this up, I want you to look for mentoring moments, and I want you as a leader to make sure that you're communicating and building a relationship with your team. And then I want you to go back and make sure that your team is communicating and building relationships with each other. And so going back to the beginning, when we talked about it's lonely at the top, what I would say is if it's lonely at the top and you're that type of the person, you're still going to be lonely in the middle. And if you're at the bottom and you're that kind of person, you would be lonely at the bottom as well. You're just going to be lonely wherever you're at. So I challenge you to get out and build a relationship and not say it's lonely at the top. Elevate others' games, bring them up to you, and go from there. I hope this has been good for you. I hope you got some good notes, okay? This has been Coach Chris Cotton from AutoFix-Auto Shop Coaching. If you find yourself struggling in your auto repair business or have a feeling like you don't know what you don't know, but you're eager to learn and grow your business, then please feel free to reach out to me, Chris at AutoFixSOS.com, or please give me a call at 940-400-1008. Time to get out and rise and grind, everybody. Have a great day.
You've been listening to the Weekly Blitz with Coach Chris Cotton on the AftermarketRadioNetwork.com. Follow Chris on your favorite podcast listening app. Let him know what you'd like him to cover. His email is in the show notes. Chris is all for advancing the aftermarket.